Ladies and gentlemen, imagine living alone, hearing footsteps every night beneath your floor, only to discover the apartment below you has been empty for over a year. What you're about to hear isn't just another ghost story. It's what happens when something dead refuses to stay silent. I used to live alone in a small apartment on the third floor of an old building that always smelled faintly of dust and damp carpet. It wasn't much, but it was quiet and cheap, which was all I cared about at the time. My neighbors kept to themselves, and for the first few weeks, I barely saw anyone in the hallways. It was the kind of place where people moved in and out quietly, without ever really saying goodbye. But not long after I settled in, I started noticing something strange. Every night, around 1 or 2 in the morning, I'd hear slow, dragging footsteps coming from the unit directly below mine. They weren't loud, but they were distinct, too heavy to be pipes or random building noises. At first, I didn't think much of it. I figured someone just kept odd hours, maybe working a night shift or had insomnia. But what unsettled me was how irregular the sounds were. Some nights there would be pacing, other nights a scraping noise like furniture being moved. Then silence. Every single time, it would stop around 3 a.m., as if whoever was making the noise suddenly decided to vanish. Once, I leaned over the floor to listen closely, pressing my ear against the old wooden boards. I could hear faint breathing, deep and uneven, like someone standing right beneath me. But when I stomped on the floor or made a sound, the breathing would stop instantly. One night, I decided to go downstairs to check. The hallway was dimly lit, one of the bulbs flickering near the stairwell, and the air felt unusually cold. When I reached the door of the apartment below mine, I froze. The number plate was scratched out, as if someone had tried to remove it with a knife. I knocked softly at first. Nothing. I knocked again, louder. Still silence. But just as I turned to leave, I heard something shuffle on the other side of the door, followed by the faint creak of a floorboard. Someone, or something, was standing just a few feet away. I didn't wait to find out who. I hurried back upstairs and locked my door. The next morning, I went to see the building manager, an older man who rarely left his office. I asked if anyone had recently moved into the unit below mine. He looked at me strangely, paused, and shook his head. "That apartment's been empty for over a year," he said. I laughed nervously, thinking he was joking, but his face stayed completely serious. "After what happened to the last tenant, no one's rented it since." My stomach dropped. I wanted to ask what had happened, but he just muttered something about police reports and told me to forget about it. I didn't sleep much that night. The noises came back, louder this time, like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. Days went by, and the footsteps turned into something worse. Sometimes, I'd wake up to the faint sound of whispering, a low voice humming something just below the floorboards. I couldn't make out the words, but the rhythm was slow, almost like a lullaby. The lights in my apartment began flickering at random, even though the rest of the building seemed fine. I told myself it was all in my head, but the fear wouldn't go away. Then one night, as I was lying in bed, I saw a faint glow seeping through the cracks in the floorboards, soft, like candlelight, coming from the apartment below. The strange humming grew louder, and I could feel vibrations through the floor, as if someone was standing directly under my bed. I called the police that night, trying not to sound insane. When they arrived, I explained everything: the noises, the lights, the whispering. They checked the downstairs unit while I waited in the hallway, my heart pounding. When they came back, their expressions were blank. "The place is empty," one of them said. "No lights, no candles, no signs of anyone living there." I didn't know what to say. They left soon after, probably thinking I was just another lonely tenant hearing things. But before the officer walked away, he hesitated and said quietly, "You might want to talk to your landlord about what happened in that apartment." That sentence replayed in my head all night. The next day, I finally gathered the courage to ask the manager what he meant about the previous tenant. His eyes darted around before he leaned in and whispered, The man who used to live there disappeared one night. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, just gone. The neighbors said they used to hear footsteps and humming before it happened. Police never found him. My blood went cold. Everything I'd been hearing matched what he described. I moved back upstairs, shaken, and decided I'd start looking for a new place as soon as I could. But moving out didn't happen as fast as I hoped, and the nights kept getting worse. A week later, around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to a loud bang from below. Then came the sound of footsteps again, only this time they were faster, heavier, moving back and forth in an erratic pattern. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, pointing it at the floor. The boards were vibrating slightly, dust falling from the cracks. Suddenly, the light from below appeared again, stronger than before, and I saw something move in the shadows beneath the slats. I couldn't tell what it was, but it felt alive, shifting just beneath me. I wanted to leave right then, but I couldn't make myself move. The air was heavy, suffocating, and the humming returned, louder, almost human but distorted, like a broken recording playing on a loop. I stood up, trembling, and that's when I heard it. The faint sound of breathing again, directly under my feet. Slow, deliberate, and deep. Without thinking, I ran out of the apartment and into the hallway, not stopping until I reached the parking lot. I spent the rest of the night in my car, shaking, watching the lights flicker from the windows above. Around 4 a.m., every window in my apartment went dark at once, as if something had decided to stop watching. The next morning, I packed everything I could and left without looking back. The landlord didn't ask questions when I broke the lease early. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror at the building one last time. The curtains in the window of the apartment below mine moved slightly, as if someone were standing there, watching me leave. I know that sounds impossible. That place was supposed to be empty. But deep down, I knew the noises weren't just echoes or old pipes. Something was still there. Something waiting for the next tenant to move in above it. I still dream about that breathing sometimes, and when I wake up, I swear I can hear footsteps, faint but steady, somewhere just beneath my bed.